Hi, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from IrishSportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Sunday, November 30th. It is the morning after recap show, and we're going to talk about Notre Dame's 49-20 victory over Stanford last night, or we could say this morning, for some of you on the East Coast. Notre Dame finishes 10-2. They go 10 straight wins for the second year in a row. They've won all their games by double digits. I think their point differential was around 25 points, plus 25 for the year. They finished with 42 points scored per game. It's got to be a program record. Yeah, I feel like it is. So that's a good job by them. Obviously, the offense has been really good all year, and the defense has really picked it up. They are 5th in SP Plus, checking that out, and they're 11th on defense, 7th on offense. So very well-rounded team. We'll talk about that. I'll get Jamie's thoughts on the game. I didn't talk to him last night. Missed you, buddy. But we had a good time. We had like 350 people in the on the show last night at like midnight. Or
sickos, man, they love it.
Sickos, dude, 2 a.m. So that was really good. So I appreciate everyone for being there again. Of course, if you like what you hear today, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. So whenever it is, we are going live. Today is the last day for the ESQ clothing Black Friday sale. And for Thanksgiving, 49% off using code ISD on all online items. Of course, ESQ is founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang, and he's Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. So head over to esqclothing.com. You got your 100% Pima cotton t-shirt, award-winning bamboo dress shirt, available for purchase online. Every now and then we get messages from people like they buy the product and they're really happy with it. It's very quality. Like you'll never get anything as good as this. 49% off this quality clothing. Get you dressing nice, looking nice. Get it for a gift for you, your dad, your brother, uncle, whoever it might be, your husband, if you're listening, anyone in your life, using code ISD, 49% off all online items, not valid on custom items and gift cards. All right, Jamie, main takeaways. Like I said, I didn't talk to you yesterday. Main takeaways from the game last night.
Before we get into that, because Eric's saying the 17 points allowed second half was horrible. Literally doesn't matter. A blowout win is capped at 24 points. They won by 29. It does. So it's like not one of those things that anyone should sweat. So just in case you were wondering,
I want to talk about that too later on. But yeah.
I mean, it really couldn't have started any better. Like, I think they absolutely came totally prepared and ready to play. Obviously dominated the game. And I don't think it's a surprise that, as the game went on, their interests kind of waned, and it's one of those things. It's so funny because what a horrible job by the broadcast team, just in general, last night. I think everyone can agree on that.
Yeah. Like, that was a main theme in the show last night.
Yes, it was bad. But it just shows too, they don't know the nuance when they're saying this is Notre Dame's starting defense. Well, it's not, because they're getting Matt Ferramo reps and he hasn't played, and he's barely played, and he's playing in there, and there's other guys that were playing in there that weren't normally. Yeah, there was a lot of the starting defense out there, but or even when they were they're trying to get it, they're trying to score here. He's trying to make a statement. It's have you watched any games all year? Because Notre Dame has always just ran the offense with who they are. They're not they didn't have CJ Carr coming in throwing a bomb at the end of the game Carson Beck the last 2 weeks throwing touchdowns within the last 30 seconds. It's not at all. So but it's one of those things that if no one should sweat any of the kind of stuff, that if you're one of these people that is worrying about what happened in the second half, then you're just someone who's going to worry about anything, period.
Yeah.
Notre Dame came out, they dominated the game. The game was over. That it was an absolutely brilliant call from your own 16 to call a fake punt. Former high school quarterback Josh Burnham, little pop pass. Luke Talek looking brilliant in the open field. Luke Talek's got to be up there. He's going to finish his career with more touchdowns than a lot of he's does he have more career touchdowns than Eli Reardon?
I think he might. I'll check it right now, but I'm pretty sure because I think Reardon only scored 1 last year. And Talek has 2. Let me check you on that.
He scored 1, I know, the year before too. Okay. Off of I'm pretty sure.
Oh no, last year he had 2. So he has 3. So Talek needs 1 more.
He's tied for Eli Reardon. That is hilarious. Yeah, I think it was just one of those things where it's like, I thought Notre Dame's offense was clinical without having to do anything fancy at all, which is kind of perfect. It's kind of exactly what you want to do with it. Obviously not ideal that Jeremiah Love gets bruised ribs, but considering what it is and the severity of it, it's kind of the perfect time to get bruised ribs. He's going to have more than enough time to heal up. And obviously Aeneas Williams, just once again, it's just one of those things where he steps in, and if the committee is watching the game and knowing that too, they're like, oh yeah, remember this guy from last year? This guy's a baller too. Right. And just kind of goes to show, Notre Dame's depth. And I thought, one thing I'd say about the defense is that they didn't get a ton of havoc, but a lot of it was because Elijah Brown was just like, I got to get rid of this ball. Mm-hmm. And he was just basically throwing it. And that's why too, his accuracy was horrendous for most of the game. And he really he didn't even give his guys a chance on most of it. They have those accurate ball thrown. His had to have been 20 something % in the game. It was bad, which is kind of sad when you think, because he made a couple really big time throws, and I think he can be all right, but he just is not ready to play. And I would say that for most of Stanford's team, but you got to remember that Stanford came into the game they gave up nothing in the red zone. They were playing great run defense, and then Notre Dame came out and just ran it on them, scored every time they got into the red zone. And, oh, by the way, they ran a fake punt and, scored an 84-yard touchdown and just kind of blew it. They just hired their new coach. They were probably just it was not a replay of Andrew looked like he was about to cry. He did. I whatever. I'm not even trying to throw shade, because I all respect to Andrew Luck, man. I think was a phenomenal player, and I think he's probably going to be a pretty great guy for Stanford and doing that job in a long time. Obviously, he's got not just his football background, but his dad was an AD forever, and was the commissioner of, I think, the XFL at one point and all that. He's kind of the perfect guy to kind of be in that position. He'll probably do a pretty good job, although I have no idea if Tavita Pritchard will be a good coach. We'll see. But he looked like he was going to cry. They got embarrassed. Yeah. They got embarrassed in front of their 470 fans that show up, right? So it was, clinical. Great job overall. Yeah. Is there stuff that you can kind of nitpick? Yeah, sure. I don't really think there's that too much that you can nitpick.
It's 42-3 with 12 minutes. Brought this up. It's 42-3 with 12 minutes left in the third quarter, which is a lot of time. And here's the thing: when you're playing in a game like Jeremiah Love, right? It's 28-3, and he's injured himself or whatever. And we were talking Matt didn't want him to play because he was going up against Christian in college football fantasy, and so he didn't want him to play. But because everyone's oh, he's hurt. Should they put him back in? I was we're kind of getting to the point where they could not play him just because of the score, and it's the middle of the second quarter, and we're having that conversation, right? I think that's where the what they were talking about on the broadcast, I thought was such a, like, Brock Osweiler, man, like, you played football. Like, you're a football player. You know how this goes. Like, it's 42-3. The game is over. Notre Dame's body clock now is like 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m. to these players.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, we're playing out the string at this point. It doesn't matter who's in the game. It doesn't matter, like, oh, is Notre Dame? They're obviously not trying as hard. They were up 42-3.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? Like it was such a dumb conversation. And it was such a, like, and I said last night, it's unfortunate because these guys are there to call a game. They're not there. They're not there, but it's hard because the score is what it is. Like, it's not competitive. And so they're not there to prognosticate and give opinions on the playoff and have a nuanced conversation about it. Right? Because, like, that's not their job. And so they were put in a kind of unfortunate position because they're just not equipped for it. Right? That's not what they do. And they have thoughts.
We're calling this Notre Dame game. You got to be prepared for that.
Right. They definitely didn't do a good job. It was bad.
No, they're terrible.
I'm just saying, like, when you put people in a position where they have to do something that they're not equipped to do, it's a bad thing. So they did a bad job, but for me, it's like when it's 42-3 like that, I don't care who's in the game.
I don't care what.
Playing out the string.
Yeah,
they are playing out the string. It
Absolutely.
doesn't matter. They don't care. Like, Notre Dame is throwing the walk-on. Like, they got walk-on wide receivers out there. They got Elijah Burris out there with Logan Saldate, two guys they're going to redshirt. It's not a thing. I thought they came out and played great. Let me ask you this. This was a question in the this is a question in the chat yesterday.
About going for the field goal too, by the way. I got to break that up.
I don't understand.
It was fourth and 4 at 26.
They went for it on their own, like, 30 earlier in the drive. Why did you go for it then and kick the field goal? Like, that was weird.
I think that answered exactly why Frank Reich never got another chance at a head coaching job in the NFL. That was big time. Like, I can imagine Bill Simmons and Cousin Sal just ripping on him for this or something. I'm sure there's some old podcast of them talking about him and Jason Garrett doing something similar or whatever. But, like, yeah, that was brutal. By the way, I want to mention, shout out Joey Galloway, because Joey Galloway is, like, one of the few people that is just like, come on now. Like, he's so matter of fact about just, like, I mean, we're watching the games, right? We're watching the games. Like, Notre Dame is better than these. Like, he's so matter of fact about it. And I really appreciate it because, everybody always thinks, these guys, and some of these guys do. Obviously, Desmond Howard, that's part of his shtick, that he's like a Michigan guy and he's always going to pick Michigan, whatever. Okay, whatever, right? But Joey Galloway's Ohio State guy. But I think if you didn't know he was an Ohio State guy, you wouldn't know. Like, you wouldn't just you wouldn't just guess and think, man, this guy's in the, he's in the bag for Ohio State. I never get that from him. I think he actually does a pretty fair job of everything. And, like how he has mentioned, he's like, they're throwing bombs with 20 seconds left with Carson Beck to Malachi Tony. It's like, I never hear that. Honestly, I respect that so much because I never heard anybody else bring that up. I never heard anybody. All I hear is, like, the dumb talking points. And I get it. There's a million TVs on. You're watching all the games at once. It doesn't take that. It's not that hard to figure that out and be like, So, man, shout out to Joey Galloway because, honestly, too, there's a lot of bums out there in the national college football analysis space. I think he does a good job. And I honestly, too, and I don't think, like, there's guys I think is really, like, should, with Ari Wasserman, commit to the bit, got to just keep going with it, whatever. I think he's a guy who really, like, he watches things, and if he sees something, he'll change his mind. If Notre Dame laid an egg, he'd say it. I think he's that kind of guy, and I got respect for that.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of stood, like, so I was yesterday during the day, I was kind of like, I don't know. I kind of gave into the the stuff that goes on. I'm on Twitter too much. I need to get off Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm way too much. Like it's a problem actually.
yeah, it is
Like
a problem.
it's something like, talk about like New Year's resolutions. Like that is one for me. It's like post the football stuff and leave it. Like leave because like and the other part too is like, all these people with their blue checks and their like 42 followers. Like it's just like, God, what a terrible website that is. What a terrible app. It is
Yeah.
awful. But I think, the thing so I got in the kind of that thing yesterday. It's like, well, Miami, then you watch Notre Dame play and you're like, man, these guys are just like that. This is like that. And this is what the committee looks at. This is what the committee looks at. The committee is looking at them and saying, this team is a playoff team. I'm telling you, and you've been on this, and I think that we're kind of on this in the chat yesterday. Like, I think Notre Dame could pass Oklahoma. I do.
I think they 100% should.
Their metrics are better. The thing
significantly better.
The funny thing about this is Notre Dame is being under-repped by the committee relative to their metrics. That's the thing, right? Like the metrics say Notre Dame is a top 5 team.
Yes.
Notre Dame the committee has them 9th, which I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm just saying like they are under-repped.
They lost 2 games, yeah.
And FEI has them as in the top 5. SP Plus has them in the top 5, right? Like strength of record, they're better than like Miami and Oklahoma. Like people talk about Notre Dame's resume. Their strength of record is better than those two. Like, what are you talking about? Like people say these things like we have data for this. There is data based on games. Like people, the other part is like, where do you think the data comes from? Your performance. Yeah. It's not made up. It's not like it's not something that you just pull out of thin air. Like it's all magic. Like we're literally just inputting the way that you play against the opponents that you play, and it's weighted towards that. And there it is. And they all say Notre Dame's top 5. Have the conversation about that. Like, so I do think Notre Dame could pass Oklahoma. That's 2 games in a row. You win 7 at home, win 17-6 against broken Missouri, and it's 17-13 against BK's corpse.
Yeah.
And that LSU program with the backup quarterback who's just playing out the string. To me, it's like Notre Dame has played better all season than what Oklahoma has. They've been a better team throughout the entire year than what Oklahoma has done. And so,
yeah,
I think they could pass them. I really do.
I mean, I think they should pass them. And it's funny because everybody wants to point to, it's like it is hilarious. Like BYU fans, like it's not just Miami fans, BYU fans, Alabama, any fans that are below, it's immediate. It's like, get Notre Dame out of here. Like they can't look at it objectively at all. And I get it. They're rooting for their team. They want their team to jump. Okay.
Right.
That's fine. Nothing problem with that. But you're going for the wrong guy here. Like that, your hate is pointed in the wrong direction because Oklahoma, I don't care, like has no business being ranked ahead of Notre Dame. Like, or if I was Vandy, I'd be like, I don't know why Oklahoma's ahead of us. Like all that. It is hilarious too how I found that like all the people, like Texas, I get how if they beat Texas A&M and they're fighting for it, totally. Hey, go for it, man. Like you got to try to fight for your guys. I get it, Sark. Like you got to try to campaign for your team. But Texas, any Texas fan would tell you that they knew they needed like every little thing to go right for them to actually get back in the conversation. Like they will move up. But they're not going to get in. They're too far back.
You can't have 3 losses with this many 2-loss teams.
You just can't. You just can't. And there's too many hurdles for them to climb, for them to do it. And frankly, the same with Vandy. I get it. Like, hey, awesome for Vandy to win that as many games as they did. Like, that's great. Even though they got Chad Powers a quarterback, like, hey, props to them. But you kept moving down. Like, you didn't move up. Like, people passed you. Because, like, when they looked at all the comparables before, you didn't compare. So you beating Tennessee, it's a good win for sure. That's not enough to vault them over like 5 teams. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
It's not possible. And last time I checked, their defense is still trash. It's still trash. So that's not going to get them, to move up. Like, and that's the one thing with Oklahoma is, hey, you know what? You beat Alabama on the road. That is a huge win. I totally understand them getting vaulted up at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to give them the credit for it, even though, when you look at it, it was a lot of like turnover luck.
They had like a 10% post-game win expectancy.
Yes, I get it. But you know what? A win's a win. They won on the road there. It's a tough place to play. The defense dominated in that game. Great. That. But they're 52nd in SP plus in offense. Like, and I think in like OF plus, they're going to be like, they were like 40 something going into the game. Right. So they're going to be in the 40. I mean, they didn't move up after this game. Yeah. That's for sure. Because if they're really kind of looking at like all the things and they're talking about all these discussions and the eye test and all these kind of stuff, John Mateer would be maybe the worst quarterback out of the guy. When we're talking playoff teams, I'm not saying he's not an above average quarterback in regular college football.
Right.
But when you're talking playoff teams, he's not a guy who's you wouldn't choose him over CJ Carr, Julian Sand, Fernando Mendoza. Like, he's not even close to those guys. He's not close. Like, so when you look at it from kind of like that perspective, Ty Simpson, even though they won that game, you're still not taking him over Ty Simpson. You're not taking him over Marcel Reed. Like, who are you taking him over? Dante Moore? No. None of those guys.
Yeah.
So, and I just don't know when you look at it from all of those kind of like angles, because you kind of have to look at it from all these angles, right? Why are they better? If we're talking about the best teams, I get it. They have enough of a resume to get in. They should be in, I think. But Miami should be arguing that we're better than them. Because yes. I think Miami, if Miami gets in, they're far better than Oklahoma. Like, I actually think that Notre Dame might like beat Oklahoma by multiple touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I could say that about anybody else out of the 10 qualifiers, not the last 2 conference champions that get in, but out of the 10 qualifiers, I don't think I could say that about anybody else. I think just from that perspective, I'd be like, if we're talking about best and all this kind of stuff, they also got whooped by Texas by, multiple touchdowns.
Scoring 6 points.
Yes.
Again, like, the offense is the reason. Like, that they stink. They stink. Like, since, like, the committee likes complete teams. We talked about this before. That they are far from that. And that's the Miami point. Like, Miami is a better football team than Oklahoma is.
Yeah.
Just period. I mean, they are up there. Like, so that's why you could see Miami. And look, this is where, like, in my opinion, right? And this is where I got to the point where, like, Miami could be Miami is a better football team than BYU is.
Yes.
I don't know that Miami is better than Alabama per se, but like I don't know. Like if I'm ranking them, it's hard to put it's hard to put Alabama ahead of Oklahoma. Like Alabama is better than Oklahoma is. They lost the game, unfortunately for them. They they but it happened so recently. Like it was a couple weeks ago. So it's hard. Like there's not like a body of work. My thinking is if I think Miami is like 9th and Notre Dame is 8th, like I do think Notre Dame has played better than them throughout the year. That's just true. It's just true, right?
Yes.
Like the SMU, right? Like the committee last week was talking about how the SMU loss looks better now because SMU's ranked. Well, it doesn't look good now because SMU just lost to the team that lost to Stanford by 3 touchdowns. It wasn't even close. So it's like that loss doesn't look good anymore. It doesn't look great, right? Louisville just coming off of 3 straight losses where they beat they beat the corpse of who was it? Who did they just beat? Some bad team.
Kentucky.
They beat the corpse of Kentucky.
Yeah, and I also think too that the head-to-head comparable opponents stuff too is just it's very transitive property of like, well, they beat this team, so that whatever. Like, that's not how it works. And it turns out in a lot of those games, there's always context missing. Like, well, Isaac Brown was out for Louisville or whatever, right? Like there's always some kind of thing that actually matters a lot, you know? And one of the things that I think, never gets talked about with Notre Dame, probably because they've just played well enough that it hasn't mattered, but they didn't have, and this is something that why I'm excited to see them in the playoff, because not just because of how they played the whole year, but they're going to get Billy Schrauth back, who's their best offensive lineman before he got hurt. Gabriel Rubio, their best defensive tackle before he got hurt. Jaden Greathouse, the best receiver on the team last year. Like, I know he didn't do much at the beginning of this year. He would have done stuff later on, and I don't even care even if he's not the top guy or even the top 2 or whatever. He's still a guy who's going to help you win.
Yeah.
In those things. Tay Johnson, like, we saw what a difference that guy makes. They're getting all those guys back. And I understand they lost KVA, and it is a significant loss. But who else is getting 4 guys of that caliber back for the playoff? I don't think anybody else. Who else has been missing those guys?
Like maybe Oregon. I know Oregon
is another one. Yes.
So Oregon is
Oregon, I think, is totally fair. And they have obviously had some terrific receiver injuries that have been there the whole year.
Damaged their team for 100%. Yeah.
But they also those guys aren't coming back. Like, it's like they're not coming back. So Notre Dame actually has the guys where, like, every single one of those guys, except for maybe Tay Johnson, could have played against Stanford. Like, they were healthy enough to play versus Stanford.
Yeah.
Like that is what I heard before. So it's not just like me speculating it, whatever.
Right.
Like, I had heard that those guys were like, I mean, they've already obviously been very, talked about Greathouse. He's ready to play.
Right.
But like Schrauth, like I had heard, it was like, yeah, he's ready to go. They're just resting him right now because it's like he's going to be 100% ready to go for playoffs. Like he can play. So that is a big deal. Like, it is a very big deal. Obviously, it improves the team quite a bit. And I just think that, like, I don't know how many other teams can say that they've like missed those guys, and it's like they'll point to it as reasons why they didn't do well. When Notre Dame's like, no, they just have kept blowing teams out, even though those guys have been out.
Yeah, they've continued to play good football. And there's the context of, like, you don't have Devontae Smith against the best slot receiver in college football.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame goes out there and they figure it out. They find a way to get it done. They They don't have their they lose their starting center against USC. They rush for 300 yards. So it just shows the quality. It just shows the quality of the team, and I think that's the part of this that gets lost. And so to get back to my point about the rankings, like if I think Notre Dame should be 8 and Miami, in my opinion, could be 9. Well, if they're one spot different, then you kind of think, well, that they did play head to head. If you're being completely objective and fair, they did play head to head. Granted, it was 3 months ago, but they still did. And so it's weighing those things. I don't think that's what the committee is going to do, right? So that's why, to me, it's like, hey, when I say on Twitter, like, I think Miami could pass Notre Dame, it's because I'm saying Miami's better than BYU, they're better than Alabama, and they're better than Oklahoma. So I think Notre Dame should be 8, and then you put Miami at 9. But if they're going to be right next to each other, then flip them. That's kind of how I look at it.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know that that's how the committee looks at it, you know? And so I do think Notre Dame has played this season. They've been a better football team than Miami has, right?
Yes.
That's just true. But I think if they're next to each other, you could flip them, and that would be fair. I don't know that that's what the committee is going to do. I don't know that that's how the committee looks at it. And here's the other question for you. I mentioned this on the post game last night, and I don't know that we've talked about it. I talked about it before, but I don't know if I've talked about it with you about the 1.5 loss thing for Notre Dame.
No.
Okay. With the end of the A&M game, do you think that the committee doesn't count it as like a full loss because of the holding call that happened?
Well,
do you think they look at it like that?
And the drop extra point, like,
well, no, the dropped extra point is an error on Notre Dame. They messed it up. That happens in the course of football games. That is 100% Notre Dame's fault. Catch the extra point. But when you look at it like, hey, on the deciding play, a player was tackled and they let it go. Like, more than likely Notre Dame goes on to win that game. It's like, I wonder if, like, the committee's not going to say Notre Dame gets a win for that, but it's like, we're not giving you a full loss.
You're not going to give them a loss for it?
I wonder if it's like you have 1.5 losses. Your record is 10.5 to 1.5. I wonder if that's kind of how they look at it. I don't know that they can actually say that.
They can't say it, but that makes sense to me.
I could see it them getting a tiebreaker for that. It just,
yes,
monitoring.
It makes total sense to me because that is so different. That game is so different, and losing that game the way that it happened, specifically on literally the last.
Yeah, it's the last play.
It's the last play. So it is kind of like Vinny Testaverde. If anyone, whatever, you got to be old people, but like if you remember, Vinny Testaverde was like 1.5 yards short of scoring a touchdown, and they called it a touchdown. Yeah. And like, I think the Seahawks, Seahawks missed the playoffs. Yeah. Like, that is the kind of thing that, like, obviously they can't go back and change that. But if there was a committee, they would be like, Seahawks, you're in. Like that. They would 100% do that in that case. That's kind of why you have a committee, is to kind of look at those kind of things. And I think it's far different than, say, like, even Texas. Props to Texas for going and playing Ohio State at the beginning of the year. Great. Like, I want to see those games. I think those games matter. But them losing the way they lost to Ohio State is not the same as how Notre Dame lost. Yeah. So it's not like that is a loss. It's still a loss. Like, you give them props for losing that game, and it's better. It's a good loss. But it's not the same as, I do think that, because if honestly, just say BYU, for example, who's 11-1, they're 11-1. I mean, I know they got kicked by Texas Tech, but let's just say they lost to Texas Tech, and it was on that exact same scenario, right? Like, their D tackle gets tackled, and there's no call. They win, Texas Tech wins the game. BYU would be up. Like, they would not be down right now. They'd be treated as close to an undefeated team as possible. They wouldn't. There's no 2-loss team that would be above them. No way would that happen. So I do think, like, and it's not like you're not giving credit to Texas Tech for the win or whatever in that case, or Texas A&M in the case of Notre Dame, but that is something that I think if you were in a room talking to people about these kind of things, yeah, it just makes sense that you would bring that up. It'd be like, I mean, really? Are we going to knock a team down because of this? Like, you have to look at that. And it'd also be much different if, like, you know, Notre Dame wasn't winning by an average of 3 touchdowns per week or whatever kind of thing, right? Like, that'd be different, but that's what it is. What is happening.
Yeah. So it's just, it's just, you know, it's kind of remarkable. It's remarkable to me that, because what did Notre Dame have to do? They lost to Miami close by 3. They lost to Texas A&M close by 1, obviously. You can't, at that point, see, because it's the same thing with Texas, right? Like, let's just go back to the Texas point. Texas, you lose close to Ohio State without any kind of comparison. Okay. You lose close to Ohio State, and you lose, then you play San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston State. Okay. Not serious opponents. Then you play 1-3. Florida, here's the thing, right? Sometimes you play a team early and it's like, well, they thought they were already 1-3. Okay, so Florida was already bad. Then Texas played them and lost by 8. Okay. At that point, if you are going to make the playoffs, A, you cannot lose again, and B, you have to wreck teams. You have to absolutely wreck teams. Okay. The next game, they beat Oklahoma by 17. Okay. So that's good, right? Then you go to overtime against Kentucky. Then you go to overtime against Mississippi State. Not only did you go to overtime against Mississippi State, you were down like multiple touchdowns for the majority of that game. You came back and found a way to win. But, like, what did Notre Dame do? Okay, you not only have to run the table, you have to wreck teams. And that's exactly what they did. You are always in control of how you play. You're always in control of how you play. And if you look at Miami, and you can say, look, you beat Notre Dame. That is what gives you that chance to drop a game. You beat Notre Dame. That is what you have in your back pocket. You can drop a game at home to Louisville, who turns out not to be good. You can do that, right? But then you can't go and lose to SMU again. You can't go and struggle bust against some of these teams. Like, you can't do that. Like, just because you beat Notre Dame, that's great. You don't have any other wins. And then you lose to those inferior teams. And everyone talks about, Notre Dame, their schedule and this, that, and the other. Weak schedule. Notre Dame would have wrecked Louisville. Notre Dame would have wrecked SMU. Like, that's the difference. They just kill teams. You're always in control of how you play. And Notre Dame, they did the things that they had to do. They were never in danger of losing.
No.
After the 10
After
the first 2 losses. They were never in danger of losing. Most games were the exact situation where it's like, hey, we're just playing it out in the fourth quarter because we've already kicked your ass.
Yeah.
That's what Notre Dame is.
Yeah. And Miami is not 4-0 versus ranked opponents.
I know. I'm not doing this. They can go away. Go away. I'm going to tell you right now, I have no tolerance. I have none. If any Miami fan gets in my mentions, you're getting immediately blocked. I don't care. I'm done with it. Like, go away. I don't want to hear about it. Go to your own podcast and talk to them about that. Please continue.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that one thing that I think, I saw Heather Dinich posted her like projected things, which was basically chalk of exactly what it was. Like,
yeah,
it needs a 9. Oklahoma's at 8. You know, Alabama is at 10. I think one of the things is like, we're talking about all this, and I know, there's a lot of Notre Dame's freaking out about, because it would have been obviously nice for Notre Dame if Oklahoma lost. And then it's just like, okay, then it's like, you don't have to worry about any other scenarios with Texas Tech, losing to BYU, because that will obviously throw a wrench in it, because I think Texas Tech will still get in. And, or Alabama winning the SEC and then jumping them. And then if they're, a little bit more in danger, whatever. But I don't think that the reason why they've done these weekly rankings, they do the weekly rankings. Those are for TV, obviously.
Right.
But they meet and they talk about this stuff because you don't just want to show up on the day of and be like, all right, guys, let's have our debate about Notre Dame today.
Yeah.
They've talked about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, nothing changed nothing will change in terms of metrics. Nothing changed in terms of what you said about like them game control and doing all this. And no one did anything else behind them to drastically change how they would be viewed to jump it up. So like Miami did exactly what they needed to do. They kicked the crap out of Pitt. Although Pitt, like, oh my God, Narduzzi, you loser.
I control honestly,
your team.
Honestly, man, I think he I don't want to use this word. I think he cucked himself. Oh I do. When he called the timeout, down 31-7, when Miami, I was like, he's giving Miami a chance to throw deep on them. I honestly believe that. Why would you call a timeout down 31-7 and them running the ball? Why are you stopping the clock? You're not going to come back. Like, and I also understand why I understand why he called timeout with 6 seconds left and down 37-9, because he wanted to throw on Notre Dame, because he wanted to, it is, what other rational explanation is there? There's no other rational explanation. You're down by 28 with 6 seconds left. That's the only reason you would call timeout with them running the clock is to give them a chance to score on you again.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted that. I truly believe that. And like, why would you go make those comments too? Like, it to me, the behavior all lines up. So that's kind of how I see it.
I'm not even talking. I wasn't even getting into that, but I think it's probably true but I'm talking about his team. First of all, the players are a reflection of the coaches. That is true. And when your coach is an unhinged loser who just like loses it and he's overly emotional and does stupid stuff. Yeah, why do you think that they're one of the most penalized teams in the country? Because of him. Because of how they coach the team. And it's like, well, they got this kind of mentality. It's like, yeah, they have the mentality that they're better than they're not. They all have like small man's disease. And they just like, can you imagine getting a stop on third down and like taunting the guy? Like the captain, the safety was like pushing the guy away because it was so obvious it was going to get called.
Yeah.
And he did. And even the throwing the punch at the guy's face. Like, what did you think was going to happen? A plus for the acting job by CJ Daniels on the the dive for the thing too. But of course he's going to do that. Like, and you know that Pitt is going to fall for the bait because that is what Pitt does under Pat Narduzzi. And that's why if like, not that if Pitt has like they have fans. They do have fans. Like, God, I would just be like, get this guy out of here.
Yeah.
He's a loser. He's a
Yeah.
loser. You're always going to be, you're always going to be that who you are there. And it's never going to get any better.
Yeah. You want to get better. You always want to try to elevate things. Get better at pickleball with H2 Pickleball. Founded by Notre Dame alum Todd Hill, he's teaming with fellow alums Jack Gibbs and Will Howells, who's a top 10 pickleball pro, to bring Notre Dame fans the Notre Dame Pickleball Crew League. Besides football, what better way to connect and engage Notre Dame fans than through pickleball? Membership is free, and members will have access to special pickleball events and discounts. The next event will be a Will Howells Pickleball Clinic. Ooh, excuse me. That already happened. I should stop doing this part of the ad read. I don't know what the next event is. I got to talk to Todd about that. But for information on the Pickleball Crew League, contact Todd at h2pickleball.com or call him at 574-339-5195 to join the league. Be sure to visit the H2 Pickleball facility in Mishawaka when you are in town. H2 Pickleball is located at 55801 Evergreen Plaza Drive in Mishawaka, Indiana. Okay, so Notre Dame finishes 10-2. Just some notable comments. There was a comment about where is it? Luke Tolich being fast. 10-7. He's always been fast. 10-7 to 100 meters in high school. He's a very fast player. Again, I was looking at his stats, Jamie. 8 of 19 throwing against Luke Tolich this year. He has a couple interceptions. He has, I think, his 3 breakups. That's according to PFF. I could look at the team stats and how many breakups he actually has. He's been a tremendous utility player in the role that he has for Notre Dame this year, and he's another reason why I don't know that Notre Dame needs to be going in the portal at safety, because they have these guys who are very, very good. Let me like Luke Tolich here. He has 3 breakups on the site, and I believe he has either 2 or 3 interceptions. 3 interceptions. And in a reserve role. This is a reserve player that he is. I think his PF or his passer rating against is in the 30s, which is again just very, very good. So a guy like him, kind of elevating in his role. Josh Burnham again has been a great player for Notre Dame beyond throwing the passes. He's been a great player for the defense. So it just seems to me that they're really coming together on that side of the ball. So some news to share regarding the Ole Miss situation. According to, I think this is on 3. Yeah, on 3. Lane Kiffin has lined up most of his offensive staff to join him at LSU. So he's taking the staff with him. How do you think they're going to deal with that?
If those guys are actually not coaching them, if like no one is sticking around, and it is so not fair to the players at all. I actually think there is a legitimate reason to not include them.
Not include them?
Not include them.
Jesus.
And I think as unfair as that is, it's not fair.
No.
But if we're using the exact same Jordan Travis principle of like, oh, this is going to, this is going to be dog whatever. Like when they actually play without it, like you can't just plug somebody in there and just be like, yeah, by the way, like skeleton staff and do this. Like if everyone on the offensive staff is going and they're like not staying to coach there, I think I don't think they have a choice really, to be honest. And it's brutal, but also to like, just don't leave. Don't leave.
Yeah. I don't understand. It's not like Ole Miss is a bad job, obviously.
I get it, because you're going to go to a place that is going to give you unlimited whatever. I get from that point, right? Like he is going to get it's not just about like he's going to get the salary. Obviously,
Ole
he'll
Miss
get
will
paid.
pay him that.
Ole Miss will pay him probably the exact same, but it's about like, well, whatever they need, whatever. It's just like blank check, this and that, like, which is essentially why BK went to there because it was like,
Yeah.
well, they're going to blank check me and just do whatever. And they did. And obviously it didn't matter for BK, but like, which is also why if you look at like LSU, what they got in the portal this year is like, they pretty much did what Texas Tech did.
Yeah.
In terms of like adding people. It's just they happen to be playing. They added those guys to it. If LSU's in the Big 12, they probably win the Big 12. You know what I mean? Like it's different though when you buy that many guys and for the Big 12. But they're gonna be able to buy whoever. And Old Miss, there's always gonna be some kind of budget. And there just won't be a budget. It's just be like, well, whatever that is we're just going to exceed it and just go. So I get it from that perspective. And I totally understand why. And then also too, like, oh gosh, I forget his name, but the guy who was his GM at Ole Miss is like, originally he was the director of player personnel for that 2019 LSU team.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went Austin Thomas. Sorry, that's not remember his name. Austin Thomas was the guy who helped put together that 2019 LSU team. He went to Ole Miss with Lane. He left because he wants to be like AD at some point or whatever, right? And he's like, but he's high up and he basically runs all the budget for all of football at LSU. And like they're tight. And it's like he knows that he would always have that guy there in his corner kind of thing. It's like there's so many reasons why it makes sense for him to go. The one reason why it doesn't is like I don't think do I think Ole Miss was going to win it this year? No, I don't. Don't you want to try?
It's your team. It's your team. You've been coaching them. I don't. It's so strange. Like this thing he wanted to coach throughout. It's like, dude, no. Like you don't have to. I said on the show yesterday, Kirk Herbstreit is advocating for him to stay and coach. Is that a joke? Yeah. Like you're a professional. Like you're working. You make millions of dollars to do things for ESPN, and that's your big idea. Unbelievable. Of course not. Like that's just no way that's happening. Saw another tweet here. Notre Dame second in Sagarin. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Notre Dame second in Sagarin. Good football team. Good football team Notre Dame's got. Are you? This came up in the chat yesterday. Are you any sort of concern about Notre Dame's passing game hasn't been super efficient? I guess it wouldn't put it in the category of like a problem or like a red flag per se. You could put it on monitoring, like you're kind of monitoring that. To me, and this is how I explain it, and this is my impression of it. When they lose the edge of the game, like that's when it becomes a little bit skeevy. When it's like the edge is gone, right? It's because when Notre Dame was trying to move the ball and actually do things, the passing game was really good. CJ Carr is hitting Jadarian Price in the flat a couple of times. He's hitting slant routes, like he's throwing the ball exactly where he should. And then as the game goes on, it gets a little bit less good when you're up 42-3, and that's kind of my impression of the passing game, other than the USC game when it was just a little bit like CJ Carr just had a bad game.
I do think it is really hard to be sharp when you're blowing somebody out and it feels like practice.
Yeah. And it's also 2 a.m.
Yeah. like, I think there is a lot to be said. Like, I mean, Notre Dame hasn't had a game where they had to sweat on offense at all outside of, I mean, I guess technically Boston College like was the last one.
Yeah, I guess.
Kind of whatever. Just in terms of where the score was.
Yeah.
But they were still doing whatever they wanted out there.
Right.
I don't know. I would say that I don't think that like, look at how many of the throws of like, just say, like, not like the bomb to Faison. Okay, like, great catch, great job by Carr in the pocket, all that. But just like the little slant to Faison, just on the money, perfect rhythm throw there, like that kind of stuff. You still see a lot of that. You still see way more of that than I think Carr, the most, like, you could just say is like, they take a lot of deep shots and it's just a low percentage throw. Always. Like, people don't realize that if you're like 48% on deep throws, it's like, that's good.
Yeah.
Like, that is actually a good number. That's not what people want, but that is good. Like, no one is like 60% completion on deep passes. It's a low percentage play, but it's high risk, high reward, right? Like, that's the deal. Do you want to see him be like, a bit better in that? Yeah, sure. But like, I don't know. And I think too, like, I also think that there's a lot of stuff, like, we haven't seen a lot of different things where they're like doing a variety of different things schematically to just like to win in certain ways, the way that, like, I think that Notre Dame had to do more of with Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to do more of that in the playoff because the defenses you're going to face are going to be way better. So that is going to be something, I think, that, you're going to have to see more of. But I mean, I've seen it enough from Denbrock that I'm not worried about that. But yeah, I would say, like, by the way, CJ Carr finished 8th in QBR the regular season. Like,
was he 5th in yards per attempt?
I'm not sure what he is.
I think he was.
He tied for 3rd.
Tied for 3rd. Okay, that's better than I thought. Yeah, I mean, he's special. He's a special season. So looking at Notre Dame's passing depth for the season, from CJ Carr specifically. So every quarterback essentially is throwing the majority of their passes between 0 and 9 yards. This will be every quarterback across college football, right? Notre Dame's next highest type of throw from a percentage standpoint is deep passes at 20 plus yards at 20%, right? So CJ Carr is 44% passing on those, which is, again, that's good. It's not like great, but it's good. He has a 90.7 grade throwing deep. He has 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 50.8 yards per attempt, 20 big time throws on deep passes. Now, this is obviously just the regular season. Like, if you were to look at like past seasons, like 61 attempts throwing the ball deep. Last year, Riley Leonard had 43 in 16 games.
16 games, yeah.
So he was actually a pretty good deep thrower. He was a 46.5%. But like, he obviously didn't connect as much and he didn't try him as much. It's just a different kind of team. I think you'd have to go back to the Sam Hartman. The other part of this too from CJ Carr is, so Sam Hartman threw the ball. He threw deep more than Sam Hartman did, 57 times. Sam Hartman.
I mean, obviously that had to do with the receivers that they had.
Oh, for sure. But like, Sam Hartman, 43.9 completion percentage, so 44%. So obviously he was on par with Sam Hartman, the deep thrower. the other point that I want to make here is like Notre Dame's been in a ton of blowouts where they're not throwing deep with CJ Carr.
Yeah.
He's sitting a lot of fourth quarters. So that's another thing. Like they would do it more, right? And the other part of this too is when you're blowing teams out, like sometimes you use games to build efficiency.
Yes.
And you're not playing in high leverage moments. So therefore, yeah, I mean, you can make the case that like the fact that Notre Dame blew out Pitt the way they did, blew out Syracuse the way they did, blew out Stanford the way they did, blew out Navy the way they did, like that could have an effect on them in the playoffs. I wouldn't really buy it, but you could make a point just because like they haven't played a bunch of high leverage games in the second half since basically USC, and they handled that, pretty well. So, but yeah, I mean that's kind of where it is. But CJ Carr, he's really good, man. He's really, really good.
He's good.
I made the point about watching Arch, and Arch is obviously a physical talent. I thought Arch was comparable to Riley Leonard, frankly, against Texas A&M. But Arch to me is like physically, like he has the scramble ability. He's a good athlete. He's a really good athlete. He has a good arm, but from a decision making standpoint, how many times is he looking in the wrong spot? How many times is he not getting Texas? He called it. They talk about the protection and how he's getting hit all the time. A&M sending pressure from his right side. It's very clear about that they're doing that. They're showing it. He sends the offensive line to the left, and there's a free runner, and he hits him right in the face. And it's like part of the reason why CJ Carr, that doesn't happen to CJ Carr, is he always gets the line in the right protection.
He's been awesome at checking stuff, whether it's protections. I mean, he checks him to the right run a lot. Like
a lot of those third and long runs, like he'll do that.
Majority of those third and down ones are him. It's him doing it, and like Notre Dame has to have a higher percentage of converting on like third and like 6+ running the ball than anyone. How many times have they ran and not converted? I actually want to kind of look at that and see, because it does seem like they convert majority of the time.
Yeah. I mean, they're very good at it, and they were, and my friend was texting me, how come Notre Dame is running on third and whatever. And it's like, because A, they're very aggressive on fourth down. So that's another reason. And B is like, when you're in those types of situations, you get good numbers, and Notre Dame very rarely gets good numbers in the running game. So when you get them, you want to take advantage.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the thing. And the other part is, again, Marcus Freeman, very, very aggressive on fourth down. And so that kind of helps.
Yeah.
That kind of helps out with that.
So 13 attempts from between third and 7 and 9.
Yeah.
9 first downs. Like, that's pretty freaking good. Like,
they lead the nation in first downs on third and 7 and 9.
Pretty good.
Running the ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have 8 10+ runs in those situations. 8 of the 13 go for more than 10. 3 of those went for 20+. So, I mean, look, that's your quarterback.
Yeah.
Just straight up. That's your quarterback getting you into the right call. And that's why they do that. Final thoughts, Jamie, before we get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, great season for Notre Dame. Obviously, I think everyone would have loved if Notre Dame would have won one of the first 2 games.
Sure.
Then there'd be no consternation about what is going to happen here. I still think there obviously is a chance that they get left out. I don't think by anyone jumping them based on anything that happened this week.
Just the mechanics of the playoffs.
Yes. Like, I think there's, there is the small chance that Alabama goes up and they win the SEC. and BYU wins, and then whatever, and then that would be doomsday scenario, right? And then maybe they get left out, maybe they don't, they still get in, but that could happen. But I really think though, like, to get out of like second year in a row where they just dug out of like a hole that seemed like I didn't know that they were possible to do. And the only way they would do it is by like literally like kicking the crap out of every team they played. And they pretty much did it.
Yep.
They pretty much did it. Like 10 straight wins when you all by double digits. It's impressive. And hat tip to Marcus Freeman, the entire staff, the players. Obviously mentioned that, they're missing guys that are going to come back too. So, yeah, great season.
Just really quickly, Charlie Weiss Jr. going with, they're not going to have their play caller or their head coach. Yeah, Ryan Weichel said it, put it in. JB put it out there. So I don't know, man. It's a very odd situation. Yeah, like I said before, I was walking out of Notre Dame Stadium against Texas A&M, and I thought, look, this team is cooked. I don't know how they're going to handle USC. How are they going to handle Arkansas? These passing games. How are they going to deal with this? Like and they did. They found a way. I mean, they changed the personnel. They changed the way they go about doing things, and they're 11th in SP plus defense. Last year they were 7th, I believe. The drop off is four spots. It's just it's a great job.
They're very high in FEI.
Yeah.
So which
it's a tremendous job by the staff, and a good job by them. And then CJ Carr, revelation. Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love combined to rush for 29 touchdowns, over 2,000 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. It's really, really good football team. Hopefully they get to continue to, play in situations that matter. Tomorrow we'll be back for Power Hour with Mike and Jamie, and I'll be on producing for that. Jamie, I was thinking Wednesday. I texted you, but we didn't talk about it. I was thinking Wednesday for the first hit and hustle would to go after the rankings come out on Tuesday night.
Okay.
What do you think?
Sound
good?
That sounds good.
Right. Yeah, we'll do that. So that's your schedule. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the coaching carousel news and anything that else might break. Stay locked into irishsportsdaily.com for any other breaking news. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Keep hitting and hustling.